let's just talk about some of the interesting things and shifts happening in fashion technology. Last month, we went to Shop Talk. That was really awesome. It was really big. It was very overwhelming. And perhaps I had been a little exhausted about AI and everything else that was happening because everything felt a little redundant. But I did some research this week because I wanted to better understand what are the trends that have been happening and that are shaping fashion and tech. Obviously, it's my job to get you that information because I'm the expert. So research is such an important part of what I do. Now, what I found was a little bit shocking to me, but it actually made me happy because it's a full circle moment. So hi, my name is Jessica Couch. I'm a fashion and technology expert, and I go to conferences and do research so that you don't have to. According to CNBC, it seems like a lot more investors are now pushing towards finding solutions that help the age-old problem of returns, sizing, and personalization. While this may be new to someone, I started my career in size and fit technology because returns, dead inventory, and personalization was still the biggest problem at the time. And it seems like even though there's been a ton of smoke and mirrors, a lot of distracting types of tech, a lot of buzzwords, a lot of things that got more marketing and more PR, we still have the same problem that needs to be resolved, which is returns and dead inventory. So as it relates to AI, we've shifted from just AI being used to generate. The shift is pivoting towards AI usefulness for things like reducing returns. And this is a big deal. It doesn't sound like a big deal, but it is, because if you remember carefully, Gen AI was such a buzzword and it was occupying a lot of investment space just about 6 months ago. But if you look into where those Gen AI companies are now, some of them are shifting. For example, Raspberry AI has shifted from just a design generation tool to a product development tool to help with connecting previously siloed data so that departments can share it. Now, this isn't a dumbing down of what they're doing. It's just showing how expansive AI can be, but it also validates our hypothesis that the best use cases for AI isn't always, again, consumer facing or just generating designs because designers can do that. It's really for connecting these previously siloed departments so that things can flow smoother and make more sense. So Levi gave a statement to say basically how they're working with Raspberry AI. They basically were like, it's not too big of a pivot, but they are our partners on product development. So make a note about that because these are still pain points that exist. And while everything else is cool, NFTs were cool until they weren't. The metaverse was interesting and it got so much noise. And then recently they just said it basically died and that he deprecated that entire effort, which I could have told him how stupid it was to think that people would want to live in a digital bubble. Anybody see Ready Player One? I felt like that movie was a great example of what the metaverse would have turned into. And it's like, dude, we just came out of COVID. People want to go back in real life. While I think a lot of people that are on certain parts of the spectrum or have certain gifts absolutely like to isolate, not see real people, not interact, there's a lot of people who still want that interaction and who still want to have peer-to-peer contact. And I think that's super important because tech bro culture represents a very small part of the population. And while being computationally advanced is really great in Silicon Valley and is really great for developing computers or iPhones or systems that we use, I think we've also learned that it's not great with shaping culture, predicting culture, or even identifying how it will negatively or positively impact culture. And so it's not to say that we have to keep those things separate, but I think everyone should stay in their lane. And I think that is always room to grow and improve. But that's not what we're talking about. What we're talking about is the fact that if investors are going to shift to size, fit, and return technology, this is just a resurgence of what was going on when I came out of grad school at Cornell. Fit technology and sizing technology was the wave. Everyone was excited about mobile body scanning, about physical body scanning, about changing the sizing standard, about the size chart. I even did my thesis around some of these concepts because it's so important to, one, not only reducing returns significantly, but also reducing dead inventory. And see, we talk a lot about returns. Oh, returns are a problem. Returns are a problem. Returns indicate that people trusted your brand enough to buy it. But then when they got it, it was a total disconnect between whatever was advertised and their expectation. And kind of closing the gap on managing the expectations of the consumer is a big part of reducing return. Now you can do that with technology integration. You can do that with better marketing. You really could do that that with better copy and content. Either way, it was a time when I got out of grad school where that was some of the biggest problems to solve. And so when I was working as a product manager, I was working for a company that was creating a tool that could 3D scan your feet, match you with certain shoes and tell you what size you were and all of these different things. But even while on that team, it's like people already know what size they are. They're not quite looking for a perfect measurement of what size I am. It's really like, how does what I wear in this Jordan compare to what size I would wear in a Jimmy Choo, and what can I expect? And while we never got to get to that granular of understanding the fit or sizing nuances, it seemed like everybody overemphasized on just getting that measurement and not really understand the comparative data that was needed in order for people to have a better experience. And so many moons later, I'm actually not shocked at all that this problem hasn't been resolved, because investment shifted away from size and fit technology. There were also a lot of companies in the space that overpromised and underdelivered. Now, I don't want to put them out there, but for a while, if you were talking about size and fit technology, people would not even give you the time of day, because other companies had said, we're going to reduce your returns. We're going to do all this. They didn't do any of it. And it spread like wildfire in the industry that basically it's just nothing that could be resolved. And so it went quiet for a long time. Nobody was investing in size and fit technology. Nobody wanted to use size and fit technology. Before I made the fashion tech directory, which is actually launched in live, it was the fit tech directory because there were so many fit technology companies available. When I went back recently to see if these companies even existed, they were nowhere to be found. So these companies got wiped out because the demand changed. So that was a sad time, because again, I'm all into size and fit technology solutions. I've been riding this wave for a long time, and I do think size, peer-to-peer, all of those things are some of the best ways to reduce returns and dead inventory. But what makes me happy is that now that the investors are demanding basically that tools, especially AI, work to reduce returns, and we're right back where we started, and this is where I shine. So I'm super excited about it, because as a founder and as someone building a technical solution, I can resolve this issue and reduce returns and dead inventory. But doing so just creates way more efficiencies. And there's no better time than now. When I was getting out of grad school, the time it was off, we really didn't have the type of technology that was necessary. It was so many barriers. Like, for instance, if you wanted to have a tool that would scan your body, you needed a tech pack to compare it to in order to just understand the anthropometric data part. And this has nothing to do with the preference. It has nothing to do with soft body versus hard body measurements. But at that time, it was so interesting because companies felt like their tech packs were sacred and that they did not trust brands to not share their information that made them so unique. So getting that information was a barrier, and companies could not really solve that problem. But this is really great because we are living in the age of AI, where AI is making things better and easier. However, we are also living in a time where we're seeing a divide in fashion. In particular, the companies that use AI correctly to enhance what they're already doing and to create better experiences for their audience. And then we're seeing the companies that are overemphasizing an AI slop. And now I've talked to you about how when certain companies came out and said, hey, we're going to get AI models, people were like, that's dumb. We didn't need that. And so that was a bad idea. It teeters on the edge of either or. Yes, this is super useful and helpful. Maybe it saves the company money because you can't afford to hire models, or maybe you're giving the wrong impression by creating diverse models in AI when there's tons who are underrepresented. Those are just small nuances of how it can shift if you're not quite sure the best use cases for integrating AI into your organization based on what the needs of your customers are. And that's a mouthful, but what I think we should also pay attention to is, are brands even using AI correctly? Think about how your friends use ChatGPT and AI, right? You probably have one or two friends who are super users, who understand agents, who understand prompting, who understand that this is still at the end of the day advanced math equations and quantum equating in a way that maybe your other friends don't. And so they're using AI without putting up the proper parameters, without really understanding how to prompt it appropriately or even how to integrate it. And then they're getting slop out of it, whereas your one or two friends are just excelling and moving past everybody. Those things are also happening in the fashion industry, but I do think it happens a little differently. So I'll give you some examples. I was looking at some recent collections because I've been a little bored with fashion. So I'm always trying to find something that makes me go, wow, wow, that's interesting. Let's see what's going on with capsule collections and these wonderful collaborations. The first one I want to bring to the table, I want to ask you, in your opinion, do you think this is AI design, or do you think this is just having a team of designers who design a certain way? Let's discuss the Kith's collaboration with The Matrix. Now, we love The Matrix. It's a great nostalgic movie. We all know it. It's very iconic. Nobody really asked for this clothing line, but I'm interested about this licensing deal behind it. And I suspect that perhaps the licensing deal was the most valuable thing, because look at the collection. Now, as someone who likes fashion and is super interested in collaborations, this collection it's giving, was it created with AI? It totally looks like somebody prompted it and said, hey, we have a licensing deal with The Matrix. We want to make X amount of money. Here are the flats that we want to use. Generate us some designs, and then voila. Now, perhaps that's not the case. Please don't come at me. I'm just saying it just looks like AI was used here. Was it not? I cannot tell you. Let's bring up example number 2. I heard that there was going to be a collection done for the Honorable DJ Screw. I was excited because I'm like, wow, he was so legendary to his culture. I can only imagine that in the hands of a dope designer, that this collaboration, this capsule collection would be lit. And so when I saw it, I was like, no offense to the estate, and certainly no disrespect, but for whoever designed and approved this, it just felt like perhaps it wasn't a person with a fashion background, which I think if we're doing anything in fashion, I still think that being able to collaborate with knowledgeable designers is really dope. And no shade to whoever designed this collection. It just also looked like something that was put together based on an AI prompt. Here's the jerseys he used to wear. Here are fonts he used. Here are things from photos. Create us a capsule collection. My problem with that is the same thing as when you improperly prompt ChatGPT to answer a question or do something for you and it becomes redundant. It's kind of watered down and it just spits out something. You feel like what you're getting is like, this is great because it's so thorough, but then taking a closer look, you're like, oh my God, it's hallucinating, or oh my God, this is actually redundant, or oh goodness, this isn't even good. Now, that may not be the case with this collection, but it just made me think. In direct contrast, I came across this brand called I Want a Bangkok. I think that's what it's called. I Want a Bangkok, out of Thailand. And they came up with some designs that, to me, there's no way this was Gen AI, because the thoughtfulness behind it is so dope and it's so well done that I was super impressed with it. In fact, the designer said that they came up with this because in their culture, there's a rainy season and it rains so much, people don't even care to just have an umbrella. They just go outside and get wet. And so they took that concept and made a collection with it. The collection is dope. Whether or not you would buy it, it still made you go, that's something worth looking at. Plus, you can also tell that there was thoughtfulness behind the design. And see, that's the only problem with using AI, right? Is there thoughtfulness behind the outputs, and is there quality of input? And I talked about that in my last video. So if you want to know more about that, definitely look at it. But I'm starting to wonder, did brands jump the gun on using the generative AI for the design piece? I'm not sure that's the best thing to do, and I'll tell you a little bit why. Now, a friend of mine is a seasoned designer. She's been designing for over 12 years, so she has a ton of experience. She's worked with all sorts of dope brands. She was telling me recently she's having a hard time finding a job, and I'm like, well, why? I mean, I understand the economy that we're in right now. I get, and we are at war and all these other things, but I was really befuddled that she couldn't find a job because her resume is lit. And she mentioned that the reason she could not find a job is that given her seniority and how long she's been a designer, she is not the preferred designer to hire in a lot of organizations. Instead, organizations seek to hire less experienced, younger designers who will take less money and they can utilize tech tools and churn out information. Now, this is a terrible idea because you can already tell what type of environment that would create in your design room. And then just like with AI, when you have shit in, you're going to get shit out. Now, I'm not saying that younger designers are shit, absolutely not. But I do think that you probably need a mix of experience in order to have successful designs, because some designers haven't had enough experience to understand how a collar, a button, a seam can completely change the quality of a design, as well as put the product at a certain price point. So when you're bringing in these younger novice designers, they're only going to churn out what they know will keep their job, and they may not even push for new innovative things or something that's that's truly design centric. So I do think that's problematic. And no, we can't just solve it by giving them AI, because AI isn't trained well enough on all of the totality of fashion design to let anyone just come and make those types of changes without parameters. And so I think this is something everyone should pay attention to. But it's also back to my point of, if you don't know the pain points in your company, if you're not really paying attention to workflows, and if you're not really listening to the voice of the consumer, you could think that integrating technology in a way that I previously mentioned that dumbs down your design is smart because it saves you money. But it's going to kill you on the other side when people are not buying your products, hence the $50 billion of dead inventory, or when they return your products because the fit is off, because your team is too novice to really understand fit and grading. And now we're back full circle with what this whole month is about that I've noticed in my research, is that the emphasis on reducing returns and reducing dead inventory is there because we have the opportunity to do so in a smart way. Now, if you are a brand or a retailer and you're looking for a technology tool, guess what? We just launched fashiontechdirectory.com. I put a lot of thought into this directory. Instead of you just seeing like a bunch of list of companies for you to filter through like reviews or something like that, you actually get to talk to a chat interface that's trained on as much data as possible for each tech company's entry. And as you talk to it and it learns your pain points and it understands your business, it then narrows down the directory to suggest to you what's best. So you don't have to worry about cold pitches or sold to, or having to listen to demos when you're not really ready. This can really help you. So if that's something you're interested in, you're welcome. I just launched it, and the whole theme around it is like, bold, stand out, be the black sheep, like something different than what everyone else is doing. And you can do so by going to fashiontechdirectory.com. Anyway, I'm going to keep you abreast of what's going on, where investors are spending their money, how brands and retailers can stay successful. And I'll keep giving you my analysis of our fashion tech industry because I'm an expert and that's what I'm trained to do. If you want deeper analysis, if you want to read or check out other things, then I would suggest you subscribe to Fashion Technology 101. I have newsletters on both Substack and LinkedIn. Would love to share it with you. And I would love your thoughts and opinions, but be nice, because if you say something too wild, I will respond. Thanks so much. Stay tuned, and totally excited to see what the rest of the month has. Oh, lastly, if you are looking for events in April, on luxerandfinch.com, we've released the calendar. So if you didn't get access to our list of fashion tech events, we have a calendar on luxerandfinch.com that you can go to and see what events are happening in April. So maybe I'll see you at an event. Good luck and have a great day. Make sure you also check out my other videos on Fashion Technology 101 is a channel on YouTube where I explain concepts around fashion tech from the investor lens, from the brand's lens, from a retailer's lens, and also from the tech lens. And then you can also catch me doing tech demos on Retail Ball's social media page. So if you need me, I'm everywhere. Check me out.